Charlie Kirk was good people. So I saw the news of the shooting first, and then got the news of Charlie's passing almost live. The first thing I did was to post something on Facebook. Very simple message. I said, "Rest in peace, Charlie. I'm very saddened by this news." Then I said, I only discovered Charlie Kirk around 6 months ago, but I just was very sad about that. Charlie Kirk was good people. Charlie Kirk was a Christian brother, and he stood up for Christian values and conservative values. And the more he went on his journey, so this is what I noticed as he matured, how Christ became more and more central in his debates. Charlie Kirk stood up for righteous values. But there's something I cannot get out of my head right now. He's been accused of being hateful, racist, and other nonsense like that. In these 6 months I've been watching his videos, never once I saw a hint that that's true. He was always kind, always polite, always respectful, always with a smile on his face. Christ will come up, the gospel will come up systematically. In fact, if you watch snippets from the very last event before he was shot, one of the latest messages that was delivering was from 1 Corinthians, and it was about the gospel. Christ was central to him. That said, Charlie Kirk was good people, and Charlie Kirk was a Christian brother. Plenty of videos that I watched, not one of them suggests to me otherwise. Not a single one. You see, there is a great confusion in people's minds about being blunt and bold and frank and courageous about one's beliefs and outspoken versus being violent. Charlie was never violent. In Charlie's words, the moment people stop talking, when they disagree, that's when violence becomes a possibility. Okay? I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. It is true. If you have someone you disagree with, if you stop talking to them, they soon become an enemy. And if you continue like that, they become someone you may consider violent actions against. If you continue like that, you may even consider that killing them is the right thing to do. The more you harbor bitterness into your heart in silence, the more likely you are to fall in the deepest sin. Charlie knew that. The foundation of his mission was, we need to talk. And we need to talk face to face, because human connection is what's going to prevent us as a society, as a human race, as a church. That's the only thing that's going to prevent us from falling apart. So this was the philosophy of this man. He was trying to avoid violence at all costs. He was afraid that because of the divide that was in his society in the US, violence will become predominant at some point. And we are seeing this. We have been seeing this for years now in the US. And the assassination of Charlie Kirk is yet another proof that America has got a problem. And America's problem is not the Second Amendment, like many Europeans would suggest. They think that the US is crazy for having this right of bearing arms. There are very few in Europe like me that look at the right to bear arms as something that is good, or at the very least, that is not in contradiction with the biblical teachings, because it all comes down to be able to protect yourself against bigger threats. And you will never convince me that the Second Amendment is the cause or a factor in increased gun violence. As a Christian, we should know that it's the heart of man that leads to violence. If a man wants to commit violence, he will find anything to do so. In fact, history is littered with assassinations and assassination attempts that date before the invention of gunpowder. Guns don't kill people. People kill. The US problem is this descent into immorality that they've been going through for decades now. They are abandoning the Western principles. They are abandoning the biblical principles that they inherited from Britain, as Charlie was quick to remind everyone, abandoning those and leaving God behind. That's when the moral descent into immorality began, and that's when you started to have more and more problems. So you see, Charlie Kirk wasn't inciting violence, not gun violence, nothing like that. As a Christian, if you subscribe to a secondary worldview, especially left-leaning worldviews, you're going to be in trouble. First, you can't have two worldviews at the same time. They're going to be in contradiction. That's first and foremost. Second, if you have a left-leaning worldview as a secondary worldview, you have a demonic worldview. Leftist ideologies are materialistic and anti-God and anti-Christ at the very core. So you cannot possibly hold to a Christian worldview and to a leftist worldview, because they are opposed to each other. When you do that, you can't work as a Christian at that point. You are crippled. And the whole point of Jesus' teachings about the two masters is that when you try to serve two masters, you always end up slave to the lesser master. If you want to serve God, you have to serve God alone. If you try to serve two things at the same time, you end up serving an enemy of God, always. If you're a Christian and somehow you think that Charlie Kirk was a hateful man, I just urge you to reconsider the point of view that you are analyzing this situation from. Charlie Kirk was good people. Charlie Kirk was a father, a husband who believed in the biblical foundation of a family, who believed that a faith-based family based on the Christian faith is the necessary building block of a sane, wholesome society. He was not a hateful man. He was kind. He was polite. He was respectful, but he was bold as a lion, and people don't like that. But here I'm telling you the same thing that Charlie would tell you. Be bold as a lion for Christ. God bless you.